great British explorer George Mallory, who was to die on Mount Everest, was asked why did he want to climb it. He said, because it is there.
We've been fighting sex trafficking in Cambodia for 14 years. And over that time, we've made a few mistakes, maybe more than a few. But we've learned from them. And we believe that we have now a methodology that can be used to fight sex trafficking globally. Because here's the truth about the situation, right? We've spent millions of dollars fighting sex trafficking. We've deployed thousands of people. NGOs, governments have been involved. And what's the result? Human trafficking is the fastest growing crime in the world. In spite of all the effort that's been made by so many people, things are getting worse, not better. How can that be? Well, some would tell you that we need more money and we need more people, and to some extent that's true. But it's more than that. It's more than what we have, but how we use what we have. If we are going to be successful in fighting sex trafficking on a global basis, we need to take some of the lessons that I've learned where there's pockets of success, like Cambodia. The most important thing being that we fight in a holistic manner. Holistic, coordinated, and balanced efforts will result in progress. So what does that mean? What does it mean to be holistic? Well, it means to fight on 4 fronts simultaneously: prevention, rescue, restoration, and reintegration. So let's take a little look at what that means. So prevention. Prevention takes place on basically 2 levels. One is to protect the vulnerable and really reduce vulnerability. If you're in the need for food, shelter, education, a loving family, particularly a loving family, you're at risk of being trafficked. We can meet those needs and help prevent that from happening. The other side of prevention is reducing demand. And as long as men are willing to pay to have sex with children, that demand is going to be met. Now, some of that can be done through law, but honestly, to really have the big impact, it means changing men's hearts. Changing men's heart that it's no longer acceptable to purchase sex from women and children. Now, prevention is good. Rescue is necessary. Now, on a rescue, that takes place on 2 levels too. Rescue takes place as a police action by SWAT team, knocking down doors, freeing the girls. And we actually do that in Cambodia. But that's not the majority of girls. The majority of girls are not held by steel chains. The majority of girls and women are held by chains of poverty, by chains of shame, by chains of fear. And those are far more difficult to break than steel chains. And what they need is what we call assisted self-rescues. It's where we reach out to the girls and women that are in prostitution and we show them a way out, and then we lovingly take them through the process. Now, restoration is the next issue. Once you're rescued, you must be restored. And we meet the needs of restoration, which are physical, psychosocial, educational, and spiritual. By far the most difficult is psychosocial, because what these women and girls have gone through is months, sometimes years, of being raped 5 to 10 times a day. And the trauma that comes with that, the shame that comes with that, the fear that comes with that is devastating. And so a cutting-edge therapy is needed to help bring healing, but that alone never healed anyone. You know, what really needs to happen is love, unconditional love coming from caregivers combined with the therapy. That's what really makes the difference. And then finally, there's reintegration. Once the girl has been healed, she needs to be reintegrated back into her culture, into her society, in a way that she doesn't go back to that life. And what's critical there is two things. That unconditional love that she experienced in restoration must continue. The best place for that to happen is a family. But the truth is, many times these girls don't have families to go back to that will care for them. And so other methods have to be used. And then the second thing is employment. If these girls are reintegrated and do not have a way to support themselves and help support their families, they're going to go back into the life. The jobs are critical. When those four things are happening simultaneously and in a balanced way, miracles happen. And when I say balance, what I mean by that, if there's no use rescuing more girls, then you can restore. And there's no use restoring more girls, then you can reintegrate. Because all that happens is the chances of success are minimized, the girls go back into the life, and the hopelessness they experience now is far worse than the hopelessness they had in the first place. But when those four battlefronts are fought at the same time, and in a balanced way, miracles happen. Rex Mai is one of those miracles. Rex Mai is a Cambodian girl that was sold by her mother at the age of 9. Her mother sold her to a trafficker who sold her to an American pedophile who was in Cambodia to rape and torture little girls. She was with him week after week after week, suffering trauma at a depth we can't imagine. She was rescued one day by a combined effort of the Cambodian National Police and federal agents. When the federal agents came to see us, they told us it was the worst case of child abuse they had ever seen. And the photo you see there is the day that Rex Mai was brought to our aftercare home. Now, in our aftercare home, she received that unconditional love, and the other needs, the physical, the educational, all those needs were met, and a healing process began. And during that healing process, she was asked to testify against the pedophile who had been torturing her. 11 years old, in a foreign courtroom, with the man who had abused her 15 feet away, smiling at her. In over an hour of testimony that ended up in this man being convicted and sentenced to 220 years in prison. What amazing courage. But Rex Mai wasn't done. She was reintegrated to a family here in California. And it was a loving, caring family that did great by her. And she was supported to graduate from high school, right? Graduate from cosmetology school, get a California license to be a beautician, which is amazing for a girl from her background. And gets a job, but that's not enough for her. She wants to be part of the solution, and she begins to help others by telling her story. And she's told her story to thousands of people so far and engaged people in it because she had the courage to speak up about what's happened to her. As life went on, she got to experience a different kind of love, romance. She met a great guy, they fell in love, and were married. Now, she's doing great. You think, boy, it can't get any better for Rex Mai, right? Well, it did get better for Rex Mai because she decided that she had a creativity that wasn't being used as a beautician. So she chose to quit and start her own business. And she started a business making and designing jewelry, and she's wearing one of her creations right there. After that, you would think that would be enough. And you may wonder, why isn't she here telling that story? Well, the reason is she closed that company, and 2 weeks ago, she and her husband moved to Cambodia to spend 2 years volunteering in our ministry. Today, she's in Svai Pak, Cambodia, in our employment center, teaching other girls how to make and design jewelry, giving them freedom that they never had. Now, all of us can't go to Cambodia, although the organizers did promise me that half of you would. So I want to say thank you up front for that. We can't all go, but we can all do something. It may be as small as buying products made by victims. It might be that you would be trained and take place in outreach to prostituted women and show them the path to freedom. It may be that you're going to fight pornography and the horrific impact it has on women and children around the world. It may be you'll choose to be a loving family for a former victim. But whatever it is, I want to encourage you to get involved. If you do, you will become a life changer, and it may change your life as well. Thank you.